What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Just, back here with another video. This is your one-stop shop for anime and manga. Let's get into it. I finally did it. I had to pick up my favorite manga series of all time. When I read this manga series on the Shonen Jump app, I completely fell in love with it, and I knew that this was probably going to be one of my first couple boxes that I was going to get. I was just waiting for it to be on a good deal, and I finally picked it up. I got Bakuman. I had to pick up Bakuman. That's by far my favorite manga series I've ever read. I read it all through the Shonen Jump app, so now I can't wait to just reread it physically and to finally own it in my collection. I'm just excited about that. Inside the box set comes the complete series, as well as a poster and a small manga volume, which is one of the works that was shown in the series itself. Bakuman was created by the same people who made Death Note, Oba, and Obata Sensei. The story follows two 9th grade boys who wish to become a manga artist, Mashiru, who becomes the manga artist, and Tagaki, who becomes the actual writer. From high school on, both boys dedicate their lives to making a successful manga series so they can eventually get an anime. They join a manga magazine, which is what I'm guessing is their version of Shonen Jump. This series is great because it shows some of the inner workings on what it takes not only to create manga, but to also get it published. This became my favorite manga series because unlike other shonen series, I never knew what was going to happen. Every time I thought something was going to happen, it turned out it wasn't the case. Seeing the inner workings of manga magazine was amazing because you can get a little understanding on what it takes to produce manga, and even in Bakuman, it wasn't easy for him to make manga. Even though this isn't a battle shonen series, I recommend this to anyone because the characters are all lovable and it would be an enjoyable read. Just one word of warning, like Death Note, this series is a little wordy, but you won't notice it because you're most likely going to get so invested into the story that you're just going to want to keep reading and reading more. There is an anime if any of you like the concept of Bakuman, but aren't sure if you want to read it. While these two guys work on creating a great manga series, one thing I enjoyed was the fact that they didn't just create one series and it took off. They had some success, but they also had some fails. Because they would think a concept was good for a manga series, but their editor, who just wanted to help them because he saw how much potential they had, sometimes would have to shoot down their ideas and they would have to start all over. When I read this series on the Shonen Jump app, I wasn't going into it thinking I would love it so much. I mainly decided to read it because it was created by Oba and Obata Sensei. But I fell in love with the characters, I fell in love with their stories and their motivations. I got so invested that I was happy when they would win, and I would also just get downright sad when things wouldn't go their way. Like I said, the two main characters are Mashiru and Tagaki. Mashiru is the manga artist, while Tagaki does the storyboards and he writes the actual manga. So it's basically Tagaki's story, but Mashiru is what brings it to life. And they both work together trying to make this manga series because eventually they want to make an anime. I wonder if Mashiru and Tagaki's relationship mirrors Oba and Obata Sensei's in any way, because that's pretty much how they work as far as I'm aware of. Obata does the art while Oba does the writing and the storyboards. I think that's how that goes. If I'm wrong, definitely let me know down in the comments. But I think that's how they work together. And I just love all of their works. I definitely read Bakuman. Death Note is my favorite anime of all time. You guys know this. But for this series to jump out, it was just incredible to me because I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. I thought, oh, I'm going to read it. It's going to be pretty good. I mean, I love the two mangakas, so why not read it? But I just completely fell in love. The story writing is just so human in this. The artwork is just incredible. Definitely, you're going to get invested in this series. I don't really see anyone, if you enjoy manga, I don't see anyone like not liking this series too much. The only people I can see that might not go for this series, the ones that just only really do the battle shonen, like they only really do Demon Slayer, DBZ, maybe My Hero Academia, which there's nothing wrong with that. I love my battle shonen too. But this was a nice little change of pace because it's not, I don't want to call it a slice of life, but it's definitely its own category in my eyes because I don't see anything like this. I never read anything like this. How you get to learn so much about the manga industry. At least some. Obviously, everything is obviously played up for the manga series, but definitely you get a little taste of what it's like to create manga. And this definitely made me appreciate manga artists even more because to see what it's like to actually create a manga series, you may be successful, it may be doing good for the first few weeks, but then if the chapters don't really do good, they just tank and they'll just cut off your manga series. They'll tell you to wrap it up. If you've never heard of Bakuman, I completely understand because this was the work that happened after Death Note. And of course, Bakuman's not as popular as Death Note became, but it's just as good as its own right. I mean, it's incredible. I definitely recommend this to anyone. Go check it out because you're going to love it. Definitely, if you want, like I did, just read it on the Shonen Jump app if you have it, because it's definitely worth the money if you just want to read that. Hell, the Shonen Jump app is worth it if you just read One Piece, in my opinion. I know I discussed that the box set comes with this little mini manga volume, but I want to talk about it a little bit more because I just like how this box set comes with this manga series. Because if you don't know, if you haven't read Bakuman, this manga series is basically one of the many works that are shown in the manga series, in the manga magazine. I forgot what theirs is called, but it's basically like their version of Shonen Jump. Obviously, all of the manga series that are created in that world are completely fake. They're not really real manga series where you could go and find the volumes. I wish that was the case though, because there are some of those mangas that I love the concept of it. Some of them like a dystopian world, some of them like this, which is a gag manga, Otter number 11. Overall, I'm glad that I finally got to pick up Bakuman. I'm glad that they have a box set so I could just get everything all at once. And I just recommend this to everyone. I'm glad to have this in my collection. I promise that if you read it, if this concept is enjoyable to you, if you think you might like this concept, you're most likely going to end up loving Bakuman just like I did. I guess the simple answer of how Bakuman became my favorite manga series was how humanizing it was. It's not crazy powers, it's nothing like that. It's literally just two guys. You want to become a manga artist? Yeah, let's try. And then they just, they dedicate their lives. They do everything they can to make this manga series happen so that they can eventually get the anime, like I said. And you just see them. It's just their work ethic is to the bone. They work nonstop. They have their personal lives. They have fun. But when it comes to creating manga, just that dedication, it makes you want to work even harder in whatever craft that you do. So that's the Bakuman box set. I'm so glad to have it in my collection. I love this series and I completely recommend it to all of you. Definitely read it, pick it up, do something. Just get involved in this series because I promise you, you're most likely going to like it, especially if you like Death Note. If you like things that Oba and Obata Sensei do, you're probably going to like Bakuman. So all of you that made this far into the video, thank you so much. And if you haven't, consider subscribing, leaving a like, hit the bell so you know I post another video. This is your boy Just. I'm off this.